Well, the Denver Broncos just got a little discouraging news as they say goodbye to their bye week. We figure out what our favorite players did on their week of rest. We hear about the new floor and the new ceiling for this Denver Broncos team from the man himself, Sean Payton. That and so much more in this video. If you're new to the channel, I'm a diehard Denver Broncos fan named Ben. Helps me out if you believe in the Broncos, if you would like and subscribe. Coming into the week, coming into the year, really, you heard ESPN, you heard all the national analysts say that the Week 14 bye was the worst possible thing for the Broncos because we'd be so far out of playoff contention that all the dudes would go to Hawaii and never come back because, hey, we were out of it. Well, guess what? We are not out of it. We are into it. And even though it's been since 2016 that this Denver Broncos team has had a winning record, Sean Payton knew this was coming, and he is not even close to like conceding the point that like just having a winning record is the goal for this team. In fact, that is the new floor for this team. So Sean Payton was asked, a reporter said like, hey, Sean, how does it feel that if you get one more win over these next 4 games that you'll be the first winning coach in Denver since 2016? And Sean, like with all the respect that Sean Payton can muster, is like, you know what? There's not a single dude in anywhere in Broncos headquarters who's like okay with us just having a winning record. I appreciate your question, but like that's not even close to what we're gunning for. This is a young and hungry team whose goal is to make the playoffs and win in the playoffs and be playing until February. And we've heard so many players say that exact same thing that at this point you realize that it's not just them shouting out cliches, that this team really does have a deep belief that we haven't even come close to seeing the ceiling for this Denver Broncos team, and the future is going to be so much brighter than these past 8 years. It's going to be wild to have been here and been buckled up, ready for it. So awesome to see Sean Payton really set the stage for it. Like, hey, we're not just trying to sneak one more win out of these next 4. We're trying to win out, and I think there is a very realistic possibility that that happens. Now, this game against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday is going to be crucial. We have a 2-game lead on the Colts. If we drop this game to the Colts, they would then own the tiebreaker with us, and we'd still have a 1-game lead. But to really control our own destiny, we would have to go 3-0 with a tough short week against the Chargers, a tough game in Cincinnati, and then playing the back-to-back world champions. And so going 3-0 there, really out, we need to win off of our bye. And if we do, we automatically jump up to a 92% chance of making the playoffs, which would be incredible to already be at 9 wins with 3 to play. I would feel great about that, but this is about as close to a must win as you can get. And I feel very good about our chances against Anthony Richardson and this Indianapolis Colts offense, which is truly inconsistent at best. Anthony Richardson is barely a 50% completion quarterback over the last several games. And so I feel very good about that. And part of the reason I feel good is our ability to pressure the quarterback. And we are just leading the league by leaps and bounds, really, even with, our bye week this last week. The Chargers still aren't catching us. That we have sacked the quarterback almost 50 times, which is crazy. We will break the all-time franchise sack record with this defense here. And one of the reasons our defensive pass rush has been so incredible is because I think we have 2 of the best corners in the entire game of football in Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss. We all were incredibly concerned that Riley Moss maybe tore his ACL in that game against the Raiders. We all sighed a huge sigh of relief when it was an MCL, and Sean Payton told us, well, he maybe could have gone back into that Raiders game. So then we held him out of that game against the Browns and all kept hoping, well, all right, he could have played in that Raiders game. We held him out of the Browns game. Now he's got a bye week. He'll definitely be back by the Colts game, right? Well, we had some concerning news today in that the Denver Broncos are working out a backup practice squad cornerback, which is just not a good sign. Every single person who saw this news tweeted out from ESPN immediately said, this is probably a sign that Riley Moss will be held out of this game, and then maybe he might miss that game against the Chargers. So that is a very, very concerning thing. We need Riley Moss back to make this defense at the level that it was. We saw Levi Wallace just getting absolutely cooked against Jerry Jeudy, and while I think we have other punches that we can throw, I would throw Chris Abrams-Drain out there. We heard Sean Payton today come out and praise Chris Abrams-Drain for how smart he was. We already knew he was a freak athlete, and he was stride for stride with every receiver when he went in really at that 2-minute mark against the Cleveland Browns. So I would hope if Riley Moss is out, that we would sub him in with Chris Abrams drain and just kind of move on from Levi Wallace. We saw what we have in Levi, and he's just not up to the task, and our defense certainly does not look as good with him. I would be very, very surprised if Riley Moss was out both this week and the week after, because we do have the ability, when Riley got hurt, we could have put him on a 4-week IR, which means he would have been out through that Chargers game, but it would have saved the spot that we ended up having to cut Josh Reynolds. And I feel like Sean Payton is brilliant with his roster manipulation. And so I think if he knew that Riley was going to be out through the Chargers game, we would have put him on IR and not had to cut Josh Reynolds. So I envision he is back against the Chargers, and that is a much more scary offense to me. And really, especially with them getting Ladd McConkey back, I think having Riley Moss, that makes me feel very confident that we can go in and win that game in LA on a short week. But that's going to be something we keep a very, very close eye on here in Denver, is what is up with our backup position there. The thing that we'll definitely be keeping an eye on is like, how many practices is he held out from? Is he even suiting up for practice? We remember last week he didn't practice at all. And so that'll be a key. Like if he's limited a couple days, and then if he's a full participant, then we'll know like, oh, all right, perfect, he's there. But that's going to be something we keep an eye on for sure, is what is the status of Riley Moss? And this does not look good. I still feel like we can squeak out and at least win 2 of these next 4 without him. But with him healthy, I feel confident for any game we're going to play from here on out. And so definitely something to keep an eye on. For sure. So how did the Broncos end up playing and spending their bye week? Well, it's cool to see, like in an age, you remember when Johnny Manziel got demoted because he was on video partying, and Gronkowski went to Vegas and partied. And we remember just tons of athletes going out and just doing really foolish things during their bye week. And it's cool to me to just see that a lot of the Denver Broncos players stuck by the team facility to get their body right. We know that Zach Allen, when he is healthy, he is a game wrecker, and he was in a walking boot in that game against the Vegas Raiders. He was back with the against the Browns, but went out with a hand injury. Well, he stayed around and rehabbed that entire week and said that his body feels as good as it did week 1. Absolutely fantastic news there. The only like real cool person who went out and did something that you, as you look through social media, is seeing Bo Nix got to go and watch his dad coach in a high school championship game in Alabama. His dad did not win the high school championship game, so I'm just hoping Bo Nix uses that as motivation to get this Broncos to the playoffs, and then to do what his dad just didn't do in there. But cool to see. What a good dude that, like, you're spending your bye week. You're not in Cancun or in Vegas partying. You're watching high school football because you're just one of them ones. So very cool there to see. So hearing how different players like approach this bye week, it's interesting to see Jaleel McLaughlin, who's one of the hardest working players on this entire team, famously is the first one in the facility and one of the last ones to leave, was bummed about when this bye week came, because he was so pumped about how this team was playing that he just wanted that to roll. So awesome seeing this young and hungry guy be like, I didn't even want a week off. I wanted to just keep playing ball, keep my nose to the grindstone. Here in Sean Payton, though, he had a different tone, and he said he's never been a part of a bye week that is this late, but he was pumped about when this came, because he's like, all of these games going forward are going to matter, and now we are going to still have that hunger and that determination that we had before the bye, but we're going to have a lot of dudes healthy for a key stretch here. And so I think that's fantastic. That I tend to lean more towards how Sean Payton said, is like, this was a perfect time for a bye week, because, as you know, imagine playing the Chargers. Like, we'll have an 11-day little stint there where it's like 2 games in 11 days. Well, the Chargers will too, but they haven't had a break since week 5. We're going to be fresh as you can possibly be on a short week, because we're coming off that bye. So I think that's absolutely fantastic. And I'm curious how all y'all are feeling. What are your predictions for this game against the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday? And how did you spend your bye week? Who did you end up rooting for last night? Chargers against the Chiefs. Very curious. Drop it in the comments. Were you pulling for the Chargers? Were you pulling for the Chiefs? I just could not root against the Chargers. I just could not root for the Chiefs, even though it was better for us. Like, there's that massive slog now and that tie for that 8-5 spot. So we are jockeying for the 5th position in the playoffs, the 6th position, and we're going to get the 7th at the very least. So it was best for us, but even though it was best for us, I couldn't find myself rooting for Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But lots of awesome content coming this week because the Broncos are going to the playoffs, and that's something we can all believe in.